we chatted with author and speaker Jamie Dahl of the blog The Dahlia Diaries. Jamie shares her battle with breast cancer and her response to the experience. Her book, I Have Two Words for You. We discuss her origins with writing, her blog that documents everything from daily life, tips and techniques for the family, her faith, and her road through cancer recovery. You can find more conversations on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is Lacrosse Local.
So my name is Jamie Dahl, and I was born in Chicago, Illinois, but I grew up here in the La Crosse area pretty much all my life. I did move away for about 14 years. I went to the University of Iowa in Iowa City, and then I lived really all over the country, everywhere from New York City to Los Angeles, Austin, Texas, and then moved back to this area in about 2004.
Just checking out some of your work. You're author of a book. You seem to be very prolific on your blog, Mommy Life, and also the tips and techniques that are on there. How did your writing start? Like, how did you get into it?
I always loved writing. It was always something that I enjoyed doing, even back when I was in college. And it started a lot with just writing poems and more just for my own enjoyment. And I decided I didn't want to actually go into journalism as a major, but I did take some classes, some creative writing classes, and found that I just really enjoyed it. I actually won an award with the writing program there at University of Iowa. So it was just really something that I did for enjoyment. But then, and I really kind of put my pen down, I guess you could say, for a few years and pursued other things. But it wasn't until about 3 years ago when I guess you could say, picked that pen back up again when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I decided when I was diagnosed that I wanted to be more open and vulnerable with my story and what I was going through at that moment. And it started with just a few posts on Facebook, actually, just sharing my journey and my struggle, going through something that was very difficult, not only for me personally, but for my family. I started seeing how people were really reacting to these posts, people that were going through difficult times themselves, or possibly going through a cancer diagnosis as well. And I saw how it was helpful for people to feel like they weren't alone in whatever it was that they were struggling with. And I started having people then afterwards reach out to me and say, you should really put this all into a book. And I did. I felt like I had so much information I wanted to share with people that I had learned through going through this trial that I decided to write a book, to put it all in one place so that I could hand it off to someone who was searching for just some hope in difficult times.
So coming from that personal perspective, you really thought there was sort of a different angle that you could approach with the book, I Have Two Words for You. How did that process come out? How long did it take to lay out that book? Kind of almost in some sense fell into it. But how long did it take you from start to finish to get that book out?
I started writing in the beginning of September 2018, I believe. I knew that I wanted to finish my first manuscript before the end of the year. So I set some very specific goals for myself and blocked off certain amounts of time throughout each week that I was focusing directly on my writing process. And I finished my first manuscript in about that time, from September until about the middle of December. And then, of course, the editing process is the next piece of it. And that's a wonderful process, and yet it's very challenging as well because it just takes a lot of time. So that happened through the spring and that summer, and then the book was finally released on September 7th of 2019.
So also on your blog, you write about everything from family trips to activities you can do with your kids. What inspires you to create these pieces?
It's important for us to share our stories. Everybody has a story. Why I created my blog was really a place to continue that conversation with readers, because yes, I have this book and I'm proud of it and I love it, and it was definitely something I felt called to do, but this is a way that I can continue that conversation. And so the blog is called the DahliaDiaries.com, like the flower, the Dahlia Diaries. Within that blog, I have it divided up into different sections. And like you said, Mommy Life is one of them because I'm a wife and a mother. And I think that's a big piece of who I am, and a lot of the successes and failures that I have on a daily basis kind of revolve around my kids and being a parent. And so I think that that's important to share those. Another section is just inspiration and faith. My faith is something that's also very important to both me and my family. And so just sharing things that have helped me in life as relates to my faith. But I think with parenting in particular, parents aren't given an instruction manual when you leave the hospital with your new child, newborn baby. And so we're all just trying to figure this out together, myself included. So if I can share something that I've learned through my own parenting failures and successes, then I want to do that because I'm looking for those tips and ways to help as well.
It just seems like the last, whatever it is, 6 to 7 months with COVID coming in, some of these simple sort of fun little activities that people could do with their families could be a real healing experience as well.
Absolutely. COVID has obviously been something that's affected all of us. It's been very challenging, and I know it has affected other people or people in different ways, some more challenging than others. But through it all, we've all been affected in some way. And so in the way that I've looked at this whole situation is really trying to, even through the challenging moments, really trying to find those silver linings, those things that you can look at and say, this is an opportunity for something good, potentially. For me as a mother, I saw it as an opportunity to push pause on my life and push the reset button, because I think we all sometimes need a minute just to stop and breathe and really be present in the moment, be present with who is in your circle, whether it's a close friend, a family member, or your children. And so that's what I chose to do, is really make the most of those moments that I had with them and do have with them now that things have slowed down a little bit, and just pour into them as much as I can.
I've talked to a lot of artists and writers and musicians, and they've actually used this time, stated that this time has been one of the most creative times that they've ever had. Some have kind of taken a break during COVID, but now they're starting to experience, moments of creativity. Some people are right into it right away. Has this helped your writing at all, or has it, allowed you to be creative in any other capacity?
Absolutely. I had a really good friend who gave me this great analogy. She said that you can have the choice as it relates to COVID, to either isolate or incubate. And, isolate, obviously you just close down and settle in the challenges that are going on and not really try to rise above that. Or you can incubate, you can start to grow something out of this time, which is just like what you said. A lot of creative people and artists are using this time to create something new or to pivot what they are doing, to make some changes and make the most of this to just change their thinking. So yes, I've used this time definitely to write more, to be more committed to adding more content to my blog, thinking of other ways that I can use my story to help other people, and just really try to incubate some more creative ways that we can use our stories to help people.
So what's next for you? What are you looking forward to in the next couple of months, or even, the next year?
Continuing to build upon my blog, adding more content on there. There's also, a place that people can subscribe to a newsletter. I just began a monthly newsletter. So focusing on that as well, just continuing to reach out there and try to touch people and encourage people, especially during difficult times. Obviously my number one priority is being the best wife and mother that I can be. It's the only job of the many things that I do and spend time on that I have the opportunity to be number one in someone's eyes. So that is obviously my priority. I do sometimes kick around the idea of writing another book. My daughters really want me to write a children's book. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. That might be something that I can do with their help, which would be a lot of fun.
So if people want to find out more, what's the best way for them to follow along?
They can follow along on the DahliaDiaries.com. Again, like I mentioned before, they could subscribe to my newsletter, which is on that page as well. And you can also follow me on Instagram, which is jamie.dahlia.
La Crosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you would like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at La Crosse Locals. Subscribe to the La Crosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We thank you for it.